gang shit. That's all I'm on.
Come with me. Hail Mary, just a run quick see. What do we have here now? Do you want to ride or die? Die, 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 die. Today, motherfuckers, we're watching Alex Jones interview Andrew Tate on band.com. Band. This is been a long time coming, but you have two of the most controversial figures that have ever reached the internet in one place. Unfiltered, uncontent moderated. And then we've got a couple other videos we're going to jump in, but let's get this one started.
Tate, we did a big interview yesterday. It's going to air on Monday, like a documentary with a bunch of clips and added factoids and information. It's going to be a big interview. He's the most Google guy in the world, and I've known him for many, many years. He's hosted the show. He's come to Austin. I know him and his brother well. Paul Watson's really good friends with him, and they're scared of him, and they're lying about who he is. So I want to play these clips. We got 4 different clips. We're just going to play these back to back. Here's some of the excerpts of the hour-long interview that's going to drop live on the show Monday. But take these clips and share them everywhere. Everything we have is copyright-free, free to air. Take these clips
I love it.
And get them out to the world.
He just wants the info out there.
Andrew Tate's the most cool guy in the world. His information is liberating and is empowering, and we can get folks to come to InfoWars by promoting this.
He can't make any money anyway. He's got a $2.4 trillion judgment.
Let's just say this. We're going to join forces in the near future, and I'm going to leave it at that. You'll hear about it in the next few weeks. But it's on like Donkey Kong. We'll play these clips. I'll hit a bunch of other big breaking news here on this Live Friday edition. But here are some preludes. Here are some hors d'oeuvres. Here is kind of the pre-show of what's coming up on Monday. I'm really concerned about false flags ahead of the midterms. We already see them cutting the power off all over the world. They said we're going to go big with environmentalism and power outages in the undercover video from Project Veritas about 8 months ago. We now see that happening. How do you see these control freaks striking back?
Well, this is what's scary, is because power and energy is the absolute base for any country on the planet. If you don't have energy or power, you have nothing else. You don't have security, you don't have safety, you don't have food production, you don't have absolutely anything. So they're going down to the very, very core and very, very crux of humanity now. Once power outages start becoming a mainstream thing, it's not just about not being able to turn on your television. It's about crime. It's about people dying on the street. It's about emergency services. It's about food production. It's about so many more important things. And it's truly evil. But when you get insulated like these people are at the level they're at, completely insulated from the consequences of their own actions, they're prepared to sacrifice a few pawns in their own mind to try and win the chess game. And that's what they see us as. They see us as disposable and expendable. And yes, we're living in 2022. We're living in a society and a world which is very, very technologically advanced. There is no reason for anywhere to be running out of power. We've had electricity for long enough. And when that starts happening, to believe it's some kind of accident or coincidence is asinine. It is impossible in the current world we live in with all the current resource and all the smart people on the planet, and the fact that we all know we need electricity, and the fact that we had all the electricity we needed in the 80s to now be here for.
Okay, buddy, let's calm down with how smart and capable everybody is. You know what I mean? Like, I can absolutely believe that these morons are, possibly overloading the power grid. You got electric cars rolling out before we've upped our infrastructure. So first of all, no blackouts so far that I've seen. Maybe I'll do a Google search to see if this is real, but where's the information coming from? If Alex agrees with him, then I become really concerned, because Alex is like the, Warren Buffett's the oracle of Omaha for investing. Well, Alex Jones is the oracle of the internet for saying crazy shit that everybody thinks he's insane on the initial. But then 10 years later, we find out that Alex Jones has got some sort of pipeline to information that I'm not even fully sure where he's getting this stuff.
40 or 50 years later and say we can't generate electricity. That is clown world fantasy.
And the globalists said they were going to cut the power off. They cut off thousands of coal power plants here alone while China builds 3 a week.
I think that it's very, very important that we understand if we do not hang together, we will hang one by one. And it's important for people to sit
Hang
here and
together.
Think, well, he got banned. Maybe he was too extreme. This guy got banned. Maybe he said this one bad thing once. He got banned. Maybe the media has a point. They don't have a point. If they had a genuine point and they weren't afraid of open debate and discourse, then nobody would be getting banned at all. And they're pushing things far too close to the barrier, and they're doing that on purpose because they fear different ideas. I do believe that God has a plan for the world, and his plan is not to allow these people to completely and utterly burn it to the ground. I do believe that we're in a period of a redemption arc for humanity, and things have gotten dark now, but a ball always hits the bottom before it bounces to the top. But it's very important the people who are awake and the people who understand not only try and educate as many people as possible, but also support each other and also support the leaders like yourself and like myself who are out here taking on the risk and the responsibility of being completely deplatformed, depersoned, having serious threats on our safety and security to try and tell the truth. It's been a very interesting few years, and we've seen what happens when people don't have a voice and don't stand up and try and repel against these systems. I really do think that the acts that have happened across these last few years in the name of trying to save lives for COVID have been genuinely criminal. And I don't think they would have tested this kind of system or tested this kind of censorship and repression to just stop it. And
wow, both are on the rise. Weather-related and non-weather-related. Our grid sucks. Wow. Yeah. Great. Just when I think that I've, heard the bullshit that's coming, I hear new stuff and then look it up and it's true.
And go back to normal. I think it was a test of a system, and they intend on coming in harder than ever before with some new story and some new excuse later on down the line. And it gets to a point where you finally have to stand up and realize that you cannot run from what is going to come to you. You cannot escape it. You cannot hide. You cannot deny it. You get to a point where you understand you need to find people who are like-minded and stand up. And the best way you can stand up at this current point in time is just to educate others and just to highlight the injustices which are being purported by these systems. My banning was absolutely and utterly unjust. I never broke any terms of service. They know that. The whole world knows that now. And the public sentiment is on my side. And the more people talk about this and the more people discuss this and tell others and educate others, the harder it's going to be for them to keep this curtain, this iron curtain of theirs, over the truth, because that's all they truly want to do.
They have shut us down. This is warfare against the West because the Western ideal cannot operate when the globalists have all these other countries under slavery. People will aspire to Western freedom, and so it has to be gotten rid of. Can you speak to that?
Oh, yeah, completely and utterly. And they have to change society and change the basis on which society is run. Society was run in the West on the premise of freedom. You can come to the West, and if you comply with the law, we will provide you with freedom. They've realized that, like you said, that doesn't give them enough control, and that's what tyrants are obsessed with. So they want to replace freedom with safety, because it's the only thing that people will accept their freedom being taken away for. We're going to take all your freedom away, but don't worry, you're going to be safe. You'll be safe from the common cold. You'll be safe from whatever else. So they're trying to destroy our freedoms and replace it with safety. Now, to replace freedom with safety, you need to convince people that they're in danger. How do you do that? Well, you either create a media spin and convince everyone the common cold is somehow deadly, or what you can do is you can cause blackouts, cause mass crime rates to increase, cause mass famine, and put people in danger for real. Because when they're in real danger and they're really scared, then they'll really sign up for safety. If there's only going to be one town in the whole state that has electricity, you're going to agree with whatever piece of paper they make you sign, whatever rules you have to agree to, you're going to agree to get in. And that's what they're trying to do.
And they admit that.
COVID 2.0, create emergencies and then capitalize on them and remove your autonomy and impose their system of control. The other thing is with, outright bans of people, there's no, going through and saying, oh, this video is over the line, but this one's okay, because I know that maybe some of his content might have had some things that, aligned with their claims, but not all of it. And I mean, the truth is still yet to be remains to be seen as far as how this court case will work out. There's a lot of conjecture floating around and not a lot of actual information. So, all these platforms all just happen to decide to ban him all at once. And, there's just, if people decide that you don't
Club of Rome
to have a voice anymore, it's very dangerous that private companies, especially a corporate cabal like the tech companies have become, they're not supposed to talk to each other, but it's pretty clear that they're all operating from the same playbook because they all happen to do stuff all at once together in unison.
Bilderberg Group and its spokesperson Klaus Schwab, WEF, says we're going to get rid of the old system, that's the Great Reset, to build back better, and you're going to have a universal basic income with programmed tokens that tell you where and how and when you can spend that money. I mean, that is beyond the mark of the beast.
Oh, absolutely. Because if anybody understands the world, understands that every single system on the planet is absolutely and utterly corrupt. The judicial system's corrupt, the law system's corrupt, the medical systems are now corrupted. Everything's corrupt. So any system that involves humanity at any level is going to have a degree of corruption. And if you think they're going to give you these tokens and it's going to be somehow fair and non-corrupt, you are a idealist at best and an idiot at worst, probably a combination of the two. I often say to people, if you go to a poker game and there's no referee and there's $5,000 at stake, do you think people would cheat without any kind of referee? And people say, well, yeah, probably. So if you understand that people will cheat in a poker game or a basketball game for menial amounts of money without any kind of judge or referee, how are you going to sit and then believe that the most powerful people on the planet to control nations and control entire populaces are not going to cheat and bend the rules? Of course they are. This is human nature. That's absolutely what they're going to do. They're not going to risk losing. So they're going to cheat and lie and be corrupt their entire way. That's the only thing they're interested in is absolute and utter power.
Ladies and gentlemen, people decided 500 years ago in Europe to stop the old system of tyranny and to try to create liberty for our children, and it produced incredible wealth and power. Now that's all being erased. Stand with Andrew Tate. Stand with Steve Bannon. Stand with InfoWars. And remember, I can't fight the war against these people without your support. If you don't support us, they're going to win. If you fight back and support us and buy products at InfoWarsStore.com, we're going to stay on air, but we need your support now. InfoWarsStore.com, amazing products. We have death. That's where we are. That's what the lockdowns did. That's the real world we're living in. And if you think you're immune from the starvation and death the globalists are carrying out against the third world.
I mean, I'm not trying to incite panic, and I don't believe that supporting InfoWars is a path to change. Direct involvement in the political system, making your voice heard to your representative, standing up and being unafraid to speak, whatever your beliefs are. What we need to do is stop being afraid of being canceled and removed from the conversation and shunned. Unshun. Dwight, this is how people used to punish people, and we're still using this in a digital form. Shunning, kicking people out, sending them out to meet their fate in the wilderness because they're no longer welcome in the community for whatever they've done. This is what's allowing this slow creep in the wrong direction, is the fear of law-abiding, respectful, polite citizens who don't want to offend other people. But by doing so, you're allowing the agenda to continue forward unchallenged. And I don't think that we're going to like where that winds up if we continue to just kind of put our feet up in our lazy boy and relax and say, this is someone else's problem. Someone else will deal with this. Well, we're it. No one else is coming.
Think again. That's what we're fighting. And now we have this eugenicist, depopulationist, new king of England that is being put in charge. This is just an incredible moment. He's deeply embedded with the World Economic Forum and their programs. But as I said, I interviewed Andrew Tate yesterday. We're adding a bunch of clips and documentation, and it's going to be huge. On Monday, we're going to be airing it. But here is one more clip, a little prelude to what's coming up, where he talks about the system's afraid of real masculine men Here it is. You said it, aspire to something. Young people aren't aspiring to anything. The left teaches them to be lazy, to be victims, to be depressed, and that's cool. No, when you're fighting in a business or for your family or for your life or getting up to go to your friend's house when they need your help, and then them helping you, that's the real brotherhood, the sisterhood, the human community of being a clan. And we're one human species that needs those goals. And so people need to aspire and say, I want to be successful, because it's not even getting to the success that matters. It's aspiring to it is what you're supposed to do, because you've got to have a purpose-driven life and a mission. And these young people need a mission, and you're giving them a mission.
So Alexander the Great had conquered the known world by 25. And he did so by not caring what other people thought. He did so by doing difficult things and developing resilience, living with purpose, finding a grand goal that could challenge him beyond anything else. And he rose to those heights because of that. Now, I would say self-development is hugely important, but there is a toxic element to it where you start to impose your will on the rest of the world. I don't agree with developing yourself and then becoming a conqueror. I think that you can develop yourself and become strong so that you can help other people instead of oppress them, and that should be what we aspire to. Bruce Lee, one of his famous quotes is, "Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to deal with life's difficulties." And some of the most important things a man can do is develop resiliency, develop willpower, do difficult things. With discipline will come great rewards. You can become someone who doesn't just do what they want, they do what they must, they do what they need to. And then you are the master of yourself. You're no longer a slave to happiness. You're no longer a slave to your wants and desires. You are driving the car, not your feelings, not your emotions, not your hormones. And this is why meditation is also so important. Meditation is simply being in the moment. You sit there, you clear your mind, any intrusive thoughts, what your finances, your day tomorrow, relationships, all this stuff. If it starts creeping in, you push it out and you just focus on your breathing. Once you can manually clear your mind, you now are no longer at the mercy of all these thoughts, all these intrusive thoughts you can't get rid of. You don't need your phone to distract you because you're thinking about something bad that upsets you. You can just stop, take some deep breaths, center your mind, expel the bad, and just focus on your breath. Just focus on being present. Get rid of all that negative. If you're in a negative thought loop that just won't go away, that is a technique to end the loop and move forward with your day.
Absolutely. And what's actually interesting is it's extremely hypocritical, because when the shit hits the fan, when they need soldiers to go die in a war, when they need firemen to charge into a burning building, when they need police officers to hopefully save children in a school shooting and not just stand outside, when they need real men to go do real things, then they call on the men like me and the men who think like me. Then they want the men who are brave, who are masculine, who have tenets of masculinity, who have honor, who have duty. Then they want us. But as soon as they don't want us to go risk our lives to protect them, they say we're not allowed opinion, we're not allowed to think, we're not allowed to talk, and we should be depersoned and deleted. They try and use us, absolutely and utterly, because society needs men like us, and I'm the one who's been speaking up for them. They also pretend they give a shit about men's mental health. You told me one example about how I helped your friend. I have hundreds of thousands of emails for young men I've helped, and older men who I've helped with their mindset and helped with their approach towards life. I have genuinely changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people for the better. Yeah. They talk about giving a shit about men and giving a shit about men's mental health while deleting me, the person who helps them the most, and saying they're going to replace me with some algorithm matrix agent bot like Logan Paul, who nobody respects and doesn't want to listen to. It's bullshit. If they gave a shit about men's mental health, they'd leave me up there to inspire the youth. They don't care. All they care about is narrative control.
Are you going to get in the ring with Logan Paul?
I think that they consider people self-improving to be a threat to their agenda, which is crazy to say out loud, but all evidence points toward that being how they feel. Working out is right-wing behavior, being thoughtful, being a free thinker, saying no. All these things are considered toxic. They want sheep. They don't want people. They want obedience over anything else. They don't care if you're fat. They don't care if you're sickly. They don't care if you're uninformed. They just care that you are compliant and you don't resist.
Paul?
Let's hope for his sake it never happens, because he doesn't want to get hurt that badly. I just find it very interesting what happened to me, and probably the same thing happened to you. During my banning, I saw in real time and learned which public figures, which talking heads, which are allowed to have a platform by the Matrix, actually have any kind of degree of character, and which ones will instantly bend, break, and swap and change their opinion on you overnight because somebody above them told them they have to. You get to learn in real time who actually sticks up for you and is true, and some people are, and which ones just instantly cave and comply. You'd be amazed how many people have absolutely no moral fiber.
All right, so that interview drops Monday. That was about 8 minutes of it. And powerful? I don't say something's powerful unless it's powerful. He is uniquely positioned. He's in that green room right there. He'll be here with us in about 10 minutes in studio to speak to. They lied about the shot. Doesn't protect you. 9 out of 10 dying have been triple jabbed. Incredible information. He'll be responding to that. And when you share this information, it's going to save lives. They have record low vaccine uptake now all over the Western world, not just the poison mRNA gene therapy shots, but all.
They complain about COVID misinformation and updating guidelines. I mean, this stuff is all pretty much nearly gone, but the fact that they didn't report on the side effects. I am someone that actually got cardiac issues. I have another person in my family who's about 5 years younger than me who also got heart issues from the shot. I didn't get COVID. I got the shot, and then suddenly I can't work out. I went from working out every day at lunch at work to suddenly now I can't sustain. I can't get in my my aerobic threshold. Tasting blood in my mouth. Which usually only happens if I'm out of shape and I try to go do some exercise that I'm completely not ready for. So I was in great shape, and then literally the week that I took it, I took that week off, and the following week I tried to resume exercise, no go. And I went to a cardiologist, I had cardiac MRI, all kinds of stuff, and it wound up being about 6 months before I was able to return to somewhat normal activity.
All the shots. I'm not against inoculation. I know there's real technology. You get a small part of something that's bad, and then your body learns how to beat it. But what are they Trojan horsing in there? Why do they have liability protection? What are all these secret deals they've done? Why did they sequence? One
of the only things that there's no liability on the company to give it to you. Okay, I think we got enough of that. Let's go to Rogan and Patrick Bet David talking about some of the stuff that's going on with the children.
Saw that podcast.
Yeah. So, and I asked him a question where I say, so let me ask you, how good are you at giving blowjobs? And he looks at me like, kind of a freaking question is that? He says, I'm sorry? And I said, yeah, how good are you at giving it? He says, no. I said, when you were 11 years old, did anybody teach you how to give one? No. Why would they teach me that?
I mean, it used to be that kids weren't supposed to think about sex until they hit puberty. Like, who, and at what point did we start to say, oh yeah, let's start teaching young kids about sex in kindergarten, first grade, elementary school? Let's introduce not just topics of gender, but also talk about the mechanics of sex with small children. Children are very impressionable. They don't operate with their own agency. they look up to adults and try to see what's going on in the adult world, and they emulate it. So if they're shown that sex is what we're primarily concerned with, and gender is something that we have to figure out, yet another problem we have to solve, then their little minds go to work on these same problems that we're inventing, and it's completely horrifying that this has got mainstream acceptance. I mean, watching so many people go along with the COVID narrative was the first time that I realized how compliant America is as a country, and these other agendas, the majority of people seem to be complying with these other agendas just as much as the bullshit COVID narrative. I mean, does anybody look back and say, wow, all that information they gave us about how dangerous fucking COVID was right on point? Is that how people look at it? I mean, do you not look back and say they fucking lied to our faces and took 2 years of our lives that we'll never get back? They fucked up adolescent development by sending everybody home and freaking out like it was the end of the world. It didn't even affect kids. And we've just moved on. Another example of short-term memory loss. And then Putin invades Ukraine. Shortly thereafter, nobody gives two fucks about COVID. Nobody's talking about it anymore because we've moved on and we got a new talking point, a new tool of manipulation. Oh, we need to send money. Oh, you need to support this. You need to say these things now. Here's the next thing we get you to comply with. And now let's move on to the kids. Now we got to do this. It's important that the kids have the right to change their gender before they turn 5 years old. We'd have to do this, you know. If they don't get aborted first, what we need to do is make sure that they can then change, be surgically mutilated as a child, if we do allow them to live. It wasn't that long ago we were having the discussion about the live birth abortion laws, where you could terminate a pregnancy even after birth in a hospital in California and New York. And then as a result, there was pushback at the Supreme Court level. So anybody who's confused about why that was all changed is because they started taking things too far. So Supreme Court said, okay, Roe v. Wade, that's done. The state's got to sort it out, because we're not going to give them a protective umbrella for violating the rights of a sovereign citizen. Once an infant is outside, they have the rights of every other citizen in America. And so you got to be careful. You push too hard on any agenda, whether it's right or left, and the blowback can be severe and immediate. So this may backfire in their faces too. I don't know how this is going to work out, but the idea that a 5-year-old or even someone under 10 knows what's best. We know that that's not true, and I don't know why we're going along with this and pretending that we believe these things.
That's what they're teaching in schools right now in many different places. Oh, they're not doing that. There's no way they're doing that.
There
right?
are books that do show that. Yeah.
There are books, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if a person wants to sell...
And parents heard what some of these teachers were saying to their kids during COVID, so that kind of fucking blew up in their faces too. As far as sending everybody home, and then suddenly parents who care about their kids were realizing, holy shit, why are you listening? Why is your teacher telling you about this? This is ridiculous.
Sell that book at Barnes & Noble, go for it. If a person wants to sell that book on Amazon, go for it. But what do you think about parents that are protesting all over the place, where in some districts, these guys are saying, no, this is recommended reading by the teacher, and it's normal, it's okay, you should learn about this at an early age. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's very clear that there are certain teachers that have an agenda, and that their agenda is to indoctrinate children into this LBGT mindset, and that this is not just cherished but celebrated. And, if you're talking to someone who is a gay kid, great. That's great. If you want to tell them that it's okay to be gay and, you should be your true self, great. That's terrific. What my concern with is that a lot of what we're seeing with, like, New Jersey had an uptick in kids identifying as non-binary by 4,000%. Like, it's not natural. These are not normal numbers. And I think children are very malleable. They're very impressionable. And if you reward them for certain kinds of behavior, if they are praised and cherished for certain types of behavior, I think they'll be encouraged to do that. And I think you're seeing with a lot of these detransitioners that a lot of these kids got encouraged early and got put on hormone blockers and hormones and got mastectomies and got castrated, and now they have deep regret. And people don't want to acknowledge that, and they attack those people. They attack those detransitioners. We have always thought that young children are not capable of making life-changing decisions at an early age. That's why we don't allow 7-year-olds to get tattooed. Right. And now all of a sudden you're allowing 7-year-olds to say that I'm a girl or I'm a boy, cut off my breasts and put me on testosterone.
Yeah.
That's craziness.
What percentage of parents do you actually think, obviously we don't know the exact number, but what percentage of parents, left, right, middle, think that's okay? What do you think that percentage is?
That's interesting. I would not know. I would just be wildly guessing.
What do you think? Even if we guess,
there's a
what would you
certain
say?
amount of people that are in the progressive mindset that is essentially a cult. Look, there's cult-like thinking on both the right and on the left.
Absolutely.
It's cult thinking. It's conglomerations of opinions that you adopt and you defend because that keeps you in the tribe. And the LBGT, whatever the other numbers are in letters, what that is it's a flag that you're flying to show that you're on the right team, that you're progressive, you're open-minded, you're on the right side of history, you're inclusive. This is what they're doing. And that has an effect on people psychologically. I think you should allow people to be who they are, and you should be open to people being who they are no matter what it is. But to encourage them to go in a specific direction, I think there's real repercussions for that. And I think you're seeing that with these detransitioners.
You think it's 1%, 5%, 10%, 15%? You think it's 20 plus? Like if you were to guess.
I don't think it's 20 plus.
I don't think so either.
I think it's a vocal minority. The same thing with people that think that trans athletes should be able to compete with women and biological women in women's sports. It's a very small, very loud minority.
Do you think that's kind of like, let's just say I'm your friend, okay? And we're out at a restaurant, and you know how there's the guys that all of a sudden somebody's going to say, Joe, you're picking up a topic, we're having dinner, we're having a conversation. Hey, what do you think about voting this way? And one of your friends, this guy feels like I have to agree with 100% of what Joe says because it's Joe. Joe's my boy. Joe said this. Joe, you're 100% right. And then you got one of your friends like, Joe, I don't know if I agree with you, man. I think it's this, that, and you're having a debate. Do you think there's a part of the political party where they feel like just because I'm a Democrat, I have to agree with 100% of everything they're pitching me?
There's a bunch of people like that. Yeah, there's a bunch of like full-on cultists, and they're blue no matter who.
Yeah.
And that's their mind, and in their social circle, like this is how you talk and communicate. And I've had conversations with those people, particularly when I was in LA. And when you confront them with facts, they're in denial. First of all, they don't know the facts. They're in denial about it. They think that what you're saying is propaganda, that what you're saying is right-wing bullshit and conspiracy theories. I remember when I first started talking to Jordan Peterson about that bill, what is it, C-16, that's up in Canada, that is a hate speech law that mandates you using whatever the person's preferred pronouns are, and at that point there were like 48 different preferred pronouns that were going to mandate. And people are like, why are you concentrating on that? This is something that exists in colleges. This is not something in your world. Like, why is that of concern to you? Because people graduate from college and they take these ideas they've been indoctrinated with, and then they enter into the workforce. And that's what we're seeing. And that's what killed Bud Light. That's literally what killed Bud Light. That they tried to enforce these ideas that they had been ingrained with in these educational institutions, and then they tried to put it out there in the world.
Yeah. So Joe, how old are you? You're
55.
Okay, I'm 44. Okay.
I'll be 56 in a couple of weeks. So
you'll be 56. Well, you look great for a 56-year-old. I'm just looking at your place. You're walking behind you. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's in shape. So, but okay, 55, you're going to be 56. From your experience at this age, when did you and I care the most about what people thought? What age were you when we cared the most about what people thought?
When I was a kid.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
So how little do you give a shit about what people think about you today?
Well, I don't want people to be wrong. I don't want people to have an incorrect opinion about my positions
Sure.
on things or who I
But
am.
do you lose sleep at night
No.
with people? Okay, so that's the point. So
But also, you and I are used to dealing with the opinions of an enormous amount of people.
totally agree. Totally agree. But let's not pick people like you and I. Let's pick a regular guy. One of your guys out there, you know, that I won't mention names, that, you know, he's always with you. Do you think he cares more at 42 years old what I think about him?
Less.
Less, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So-
it's life experience, right?
So let me ask you this question. As a 55-year-old man, if you were really gay right now, Joe, would you care about coming out?
I wouldn't, but I do have friends that are my age that do care, and it's sad.
Okay.
But they're worried more about how their family is going to perceive it and how their family's going to be treated about it.
You know, by the way, I'm not trying to convert you to, you know, for both of us right now to make an
okay.
announcement, public announcement right now. Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet-David came out, and
We're both getting married.
we're both getting married. Who takes whose last name? So,
We'll hyphenate it like good progressives. When I see a dude with a hyphenated name, I'm like, yo, bro.
yo, I got a hyphenated last name, Bet-David, but I understand Rogan Bet-David or Bet-David Rogan. So I want you to think about this. The part where I go is the following. The statistic, traditionalists, 0.8% are gay. Boomers, 2.6%. Then it goes to 5 point something. Then it goes 10%.
Is it really 10%?
Oh, yeah. Gen Z's right now is 21%.
How much of them are regretful?
Do you want to pull this? Jamie, can you look this?
21% gay?
21% of Gen Z right now is gay.
Is it gay or LBGTQ?
All that stuff.
Because you can be non-binary and slip right in there with like a real fucking loophole.
Check that out. Look at that right there.
Number of LBGTQ identifying adults is soaring. Yeah.
Look at that. 0.8% traditionalists. Boomers 2.6, Gen X 4.2, Millennials 10.5, and then you got Gen Z's around 21%, right? Okay. So when you look at the statistics, why would Gen Z become gay? They care about what other people think. You know, this is like,
Right.
you know, it's kind of versus the traditionalist. Dude, if I'm like 72 years old and I'm gay, guess what? I'm coming.
I bet all those numbers are skewed. The old ones are skewed down and the new ones are skewed up because they want to be part of the group, and the older ones, like Joe said, some people are still worried about people finding out their sexual orientation. This is like a big deal, even for adults, and it's still a mind fuck for adults to try to understand this, not just their own sexual identity, but how they interact with other adults sexually. This is one of the most difficult things for most people to grapple with, and you're trying to fucking throw it in the lap of kids. You know, you're ruining their fucking childhood. It's not about you, you fucking assholes, you know? I know you got an agenda, but stop fucking with the kids. And then after that LGBTQ chant, we're coming, we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children down in Florida, Nick Merckx, a video game streamer, said, hey, leave the fucking children alone. He had some big fucking backlash on that. And it's like, is that okay? You're coming for the children? I don't care who the fuck you are. You better not be saying you're coming for the children, whether you're, you know, those aren't your children. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Stay the fuck away from those kids unless you're, I don't know. I don't even, unless you're blank, I don't know what to even put in there. Just stay the fuck away from other people's kids. Let the parents raise their kids. Stop trying to fucking get in the middle. It's not your business.
Coming out.
Right.
I mean, like, hey, man, I am. What do you want to do about it? I'm going to go and hang out with Jose over here.
Yeah,
and
leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Do what you got to do. So I think, you know, we're truly messing up with a generation that really cares about what other people think, and we're screwing them up in a big way.
Where also they're growing up in a time of social media where caring about what other people think is way more enforced because you're getting so much more feedback than people have ever gotten before.
Yeah.
Like a regular person might just be communicating with thousands of people in comments and arguing about things on social media in a way where you would not interact with so many random people that you don't know.
Yeah. And even that's a good point. Like even the social dilemma thing, kind of like where you're going, where these kids are so worried about what other people think.
Yeah.
I think it's a big mistake, and I think we're going to pay a price for it. And it's going to take us a decade or two to see the results of this.
I think so too, and I think there's going to be a self-correcting thing. What I fear the most is the detransitioners. I feel terrible for them. I feel terrible for these girls that can never have children now, and I feel terrible for these guys that are castrated, and it's just the whole thing is just very spooky because people are making life-changing decisions. Now, does that mean that I'm anti-trans? Not at all. If you're a grown adult and you feel like that's going to make you happy, I fully support your ability as a grown adult to do whatever you want.
I do too, and if it comes off as otherwise, that is not my intent. I just don't believe that it should be pushed on children. It's a free country. I don't want the government to pay for your surgery out of my tax dollars. But I fully support your ability to go seek the medical care and get the support from anyone that you need to live your best life and be as happy as you possibly can. You know, we are all free for the pursuit of happiness and fulfillment. That's one of our basic rights. And I would not dream of getting in the way of someone else's unless you are harming other people. I mean, we're not allowed to incite violence. That's one of the limitations of free speech. You can't incite violence against other people or violence in general. And, you know, hate speech is just for the purpose of insulting other people. I am okay with that not being allowed either. But just got to be careful that the banning of speech and the control of speech doesn't go any further than that.
As long as it's not hurting anyone else, that makes you happy.
Sure.
If that makes you happy,
yeah.
I don't know what makes you happy. If that makes you happy, I am a freedom person. I believe you should have freedom to do whatever you want. However, I do think that there's an indoctrination aspect to this, and I do think there's a social contagion aspect to this, and that's what Abigail Schreier has documented, and that a lot of these girls that are coming out, they're doing in these clusters of girls, and a lot of them are autistic, a lot of them are, you know, they're on a spectrum, and they don't feel like they fit in anyway. When they give them testosterone, a lot of times there's an alleviation of anxiety that comes with testosterone,
Yep.
and a euphoria that comes with that, and they say, okay, this is who I've meant to be. Which is so crazy that introducing a foreign substance into your body, or at least a substance that your body does not naturally have at masculine doses, and that you're introducing that to a feminine body and then saying, this is who I naturally am, that's crazy. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense biologically, scientifically. It doesn't make sense.
I'm not suicidal. I would never kill myself.